Debate on Vote 13, Cultural Affairs and Sport, Western Cape Appropriation Bill.
I see Minister Marais.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, Premier, Cabinet colleagues and members of the Provincial Parliament, mayors from various municipalities, chairperson of the Standing Committee, head of department and managers of the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport, our partners in the sport and culture sector, media, residents of the Western Cape. Deputy Speaker, it is indeed an absolute pleasure and honour to once again present to this House and the Greater Western Cape community the Department of Culture Affairs and Sports budget for the 2019-20 financial year. I will elaborate on how the department has allocated the appropriated 820,305,000 to enable a socially inclusive, creative, active and connected Western Cape. The following presentation embodies our commitment to responding to the needs of the communities we serve. It also highlights the instrumental role the department fulfills in our response to the fourth industrial revolution, the creation of increased opportunities, strengthening our sense of identity through nation building, in inspiring hope and the holistic development of the individual and collective through sport and cultural affairs. Deputy, I call to mind a dialogue on the fourth industrial revolution, which has become increasingly more prevalent in the South African conversation as a result of its global implications. There exists much confusion and uncertainty around what exactly the fourth industrial revolution is, how it will affect civilization, and more recently, how do we respond to the digital age in the dark. One thing is clear, the arts, culture affairs and sport development and promotion will have to take center stage as a proactive response to the rapid changes underway. Our department has a fundamental role to fulfill as it delivers services which affords the opportunities to escape the cycle of poverty in our communities. Our department makes a significant difference in bringing about positive change to our communities. We improve the self-esteem of our youth and identify in them talents they would otherwise not explore. The nature of our business plays a powerful role in shaping, framing, communicating and influencing the future. In fact, according to the South African Culture Observatory, and I quote, "It is our responsibility to reflect, question, resist, review and rebuild when and where necessary. In short, it is our duty to reimagine the future," unquote. Our department has made great strides in implementing a reimagined future in trying times, but we will fail in our objectives without our hard-working officials and passionate partners. At the start of 2018, Andrea Bandelli, the Executive Director of the Science Gallery International, maintained that art finds itself right at the core of the activities shaping the fourth industrial revolution. He notes that, and I quote, "Art and humanities are fundamental pillars of any education system, and in today's technology-dominated world, their contribution to the school curriculum is more important than ever. Concerted effort needs to be made to equip the present and future generations with the ability to emphasize, imagine, and create, and the key to develop these abilities is a lifelong education that is interdisciplinary, cross-functional, cross-industry, and cross-culture," unquote. It is therefore pivotal to integrate the arts and sport into the education system and societal discourse, as it will indeed reduce the skills gap that the next generation is facing and subsequently prepare the leaders of tomorrow. Amongst others, to be further elaborated, it is for this reason that we allocated 210.6 billion to sport and recreation to financially support the after-school game changer through the MOD program and school sport, to name only a few. However, empathy, imagination and creativity are not only for tomorrow's leaders and jobs. We need them right now to ensure that science and technology are developed in a human-centered way. Today we need to balance advanced technical competences with an unprecedented level of moral complexity that these technologies entail. With this in mind, Culture Affairs will receive 1.07 million for the 2019-20 financial year. Om voorbereid te wees op die omstrede tegnologie wat ontwikkel word, verseker nou dat ons ten volle kan deelneem aan die gesprekke wat die toekoms van ons samelewing vorm. Die tegnologiese deurbrake van die 4de industriële revolusie kan ons samelewing meer volhoubaar en inklusief maak, of die verdeeldheid wat daar onder ons is, groter maak. Daar is egter geen maklike ja, nee of goeie slegte skakelaar nie. Dit is nie 'n enkele besluit wat die impak van tegnologie op die samelewing bepaal nie, maar eerder 'n ontvouende proses gebaseer op dialoog met verskillende belanghebbendes. Deputy Speaker, ten einde betrokke te raak by gesprekvoering met ons gemeenskappe, moet ons administratiewe bevoegdheid so optimaal moontlik benut word. Met die beperkte provinsiale begroting gaan program 1 administrasie 9% van ons totaalbegroting ontvang en dit word teen 70,9 miljoen bewillig. Die mag van kuns- en geesteswetenskappe vorm die kern van tegnologiese prosesse om hierdie bespreking van inligting te voorsien, te gebelei en te ondersteun. Jojo Ma stel dit baie duidelik wanneer hy sê, en ek haal aan, dit is nie genoeg om kultuur aan die kunstenaars en musikante uit te kontrakteer en dit as passiewe gehoor te ontvang nie. Ons moet die volle spektrum van menslike begrip betrek en elkeen van ons moet deelneem aan die bevordering van ons kulturele hulpbronne. Sluit aanhalingstekens. Ten einde 'n bydrae te lewer tot die volle spektrum van menslike begrip, het ons 419,7 miljoen aan biblioteek- en argiefdienste toegewys. Dit is gelykstaande aan 51% van ons algehele jaarlikse begroting. Kultuursake en sport is vandag meer as ooit tevore noodsaaklik om 'n emosionele raamwerk te bou om sin te maak van die gesprekvoering wat sentraal staan tot die 4de industriële revolusie. Kuns, kultuur en sport bou vertroue. Die vertroue wat nodig is om botsende sieninge en belange te oorbrug, om huidige hindernisse en struikelblokke met dinamiese en innoverende benaderings te oorkom en die waardes wat onderliggend is aan enige proses van tegnologiese innovering te verstaan. Kultuursake en sport moedig ons aan om kalm, konstruktief en selfs ongemaklike gesprekke te voer oor die soort toekoms wat ons wil hê, soos gepropageer deur professor Klaus Schwab. Hulle is katalisators vir hierdie gesprekke, 'n voortdurende herinnering aan die feit dat ons met hierdie vraagstukke moet omgaan en 'n rede, 'n herinnering en soms 'n verskoning om nie van hulle weg te skram nie. Ons departement het en sal voortgaan om 'n deurslaggewende rol te speel in die aanspreking van die behoeftes wat nodig is vir 'n beter toekoms vir 'n verenigde Suid-Afrika. Die Weskaap sal nie dieselfde wees sonder ons kenmerkende kultuur en sportaktiwiteite nie. En daarom vier ons dit deur erkenning te gee aan diegene wat dit lewendig hou en die voortbestaan daarvan verseker. Together we are in the business of building a nation, inspiring hope and motivating better versions of those we serve through cultural manifestation and creating an enabling environment in which it can flourish. Since 2009, under DA leadership, the Western Cape government has prioritized creating opportunities of growth and jobs by improving education outcomes and increasing opportunities for youth development. The following highlights what can be achieved if the whole of society works together with care, competence, accountability, integrity, innovation and responsiveness. Our 373 library centres account for more than 20% of all public libraries in South Africa. Since 2009, 53 new libraries have been built and we upgraded a further 18 with a total investment of 1.5 billion. This has empowered 42 more communities in 22 municipalities since we came into office. We are proud to report that the Western Cape holds the highest library membership in South Africa and by far the highest book circulation figures of all the provinces. In fact, over 15.6 million library items were issued to over 811,000 registered library users in 2017. Rural libraries have also been connected to free high-speed internet in 22 municipalities. In the past 10 years, the number of major sport events we support have increased by 248%, from just 25 events when we took office in 2009 to 92 events in 2018-19. I'm also immensely proud to announce that we have won the bid against New Zealand to host the 2023 Netball World Cup in the city of Cape Town in Greater Western Cape. Funding for local sports organizations has also increased by 124% since 2009, with an average of 120 organizations supported at grassroots level each year. Since 2014, 7,689 young men have been initiated in the Western Cape, with a 99.74% safe passage rate. Deputy Speaker, this was made possible through our customary male initiation program, which has facilitated in collaboration with communities, practitioners, government departments and entities such as Cape Nature, municipalities and traditional surgeons and carers. In a last term of 5 years, we have achieved more than a fourfold increase in learners regularly attending quality after-school programs, which makes provision for school sport and cultural expression. We have gone from 14,900 learners benefiting in 2014 to 81,100 learners participating regularly in 2018-19. We have gone further to professionalize the sector with almost 500 coaches trained to date and introduced a practitioner's code of conduct, training program and a postgraduate qualification in partnership with universities. More importantly, there has been a 187% increase in schools registered with the after-school program from 118 in 2014 to 571 in 2018. With much pride and collaboration, we have developed a new archaeological tourism route to show the world that humanity did indeed begin in Africa, and in this case in the Western Cape. We have promoted isiXhosa through the world's first chess and cricket terminology books published in a language. Netball and boxing will follow suit. Our oral history initiative has so far captured stories in 23 communities across all 6 districts of the province. We can only but imagine how much more we could offer, and sustainably so, to all those who call the Western Cape home, if the national government under the ANC also placed the people of South Africa first, as they promised in 1994. Instead, we have now become accustomed to the plundering of public funds, maladministration and corruption for the personal gain of an untouchable, unaccountable few, which sadly reduces opportunity for the development of the majority. Deputy Speaker, there is a stark difference in the outcomes of the last 10 years under DA's strategy of consolidating budgets for maximum citizen impact to improve opportunities for our youth, to support the creation of a safe and secure province, to enable an environment for job creation and skills development, by building and maintaining economic and social infrastructure, and most notably, applies good governance standards to optimize service delivery. Compared to the ANC's lost 10 years, resulting in a net debt of 2.28 trillion in 2017-18, increasing to 3.03 trillion or 52% of our GDP in 2020-21. Deputy Speaker, this is attributed to various factors, most frustrating and disheartening: state capture, corruption, maladministration and pure nonchalance towards the dire needs of our people. As powerful and integral as cultural affairs and sport is to making a positive impact on people's lives while promoting our national identity in its diversity, it is not exempt from the national indifference exhausting public funds for personal gain. The devastating result is regressive as it leaves the people we serve in the Western Cape in more adverse conditions, as they have been robbed of many opportunities to live lives they can value. Before the ANC members of this House vocalise how appreciative the Western Cape government should be for the budget received from National Treasury, I assure you there should be no joy found in such arrogance. Our track record of good governance and maximum citizen impact service delivery has been confirmed by various independent stakeholders, including the Auditor General's report for the past 5 years. Yet other provinces are awarded exorbitant budgets, facilities and resources with little or no deliverables to show in real terms. A case in point, Speaker, each year of which this coming financial year will mark the 4th, the National Department of Sport and Recreation South Africa, under Fikile Mbalula at the time, instructed each provincial department to contribute 10 million of our annual budget towards the establishment of the National Training and Olympic Preparatory Centre in Bloemfontein, the hometown of the former minister. Deputy Speaker, 4 years on, only dust is proof of this investment, as the National Department only officiated the start turning on the site on 10 November 2018. For the purpose of clarity, to date, 30 million has been reappropriated from each provincial department's budget, amounting to a total of 270 million, which is now at the national government's disposal, with no plan communicated, no concrete facility, no accountability, nor urgency or evidence-based research into the needs of our sports people. Deputy, further reducing development, opportunities and transformation in the Western Cape, and forcing us to be innovative with a little budget received based on rife maladministration and pie-in-the-sky strategies. The National Department procured a 1970s Volkswagen Combi for each province and presented it to each of us at the National Sport Awards late last year. The cost of this wasteful expense would afford the abundance of requests we receive in the Western Cape, the assistance needed for the empowerment of our under-resourced sports people, facilities and events on grassroots level to bridge a gap between developmental participation and higher levels of competition. Deputy, I'm afraid the National Cultural Affairs sector also ironically brings little hope administratively and is failing to advocate and promote the diverse South African identity, the upkeep of our heritage landscape, and in turn the progression of one South Africa for all. Madiba's vision for the democratic South Africa will not come into fruition if the ANC remains silent and does not hold its leader accountable for the moral and social deterioration of our integrative tapestry as a diverse people. In January this year, it was reported that 8 million was stolen from a Living Legends legacy program, which the Western Cape government supports, as it was launched to safeguard and prioritize heritage development and the provision of opportunities for interaction and the sharing of skills, knowledge, experience and resources with younger generations. A few weeks later, in February, the fundamental role of providing arts and culture services was further vilified when 7 entities funded by the National Department of Arts and Culture was ridden with allegations of corruption and maladministration. Deputy, the monetary implication of this is still unknown, but through media reports we do know. The Chief Executive of the National Arts Council was placed on special leave because of an excess bonus payment.
It's all about the money.
At the National Library, the director of the Centre for a Book was charged with several counts of misconduct, and a disciplinary hearing began last year in which he was found guilty on 4 of the 7 charges. The director of bibliography and collection services was charged for incompatibility, workplace bullying and harassment. The Robben Island Museum is being investigated for maladministration. The South African Heritage Resource Agency is also under investigation after allegations against the chairperson and the chief executive surfaced regarding irregular expenditure, breach of oversight and non-compliance with supply chain management policies. The National Department of Arts and Culture wants one national orchestra, which threatens our esteemed Cape Town Philharmonic Orchestra, as funding to regional companies will stop in favour of a single national ensemble. Deputy Speaker, as the ANC continues to heckle that we are in the Western Cape and that national practices are irrelevant, please note with grave concern that cheap political grandstanding is killing the positive aspirations of our youth, tearing our moral fibre apart and further crippling progress in the Western Cape. The battle between the captured and the capturers is holding our youth's potential hostage. With the crumbs left from the ANC's let them eat cake rhetoric, the Western Cape government had to become innovative in embedding good governance and integrated service delivery through partnerships and spatial alignment guided by a functional fiscal strategy. I now reflect on how innovative our department has been in the past financial year to achieve our vision of a socially inclusive, connected and active Western Cape. Deputy Speaker, die eenheid vir kindsontwikkeling het sy implementering van die genre ontwikkelingsprogram versterk deur verbeterde samewerking met munisipaliteite en organisasies. Die program het ontwikkel en daar is ondervind hoe die invloed van burgers optimaal benut is in plattelandse gemeenskappe, waar kuns- en kultuurontwikkeling dikwels verwaarloos word. Die eenheid se implementering van die projek in die Sentraal Karoo distrik is 'n sprekende voorbeeld en bewys van ons verbintenis tot ons departementele visie wat deur die hele samelewing benadering beginsel benadruk word en het vennootskappe en hulpbronne optimaal benut te midde van besuinigingsmaatreëls. Die eenheid het begin om plattelandse kunsontwikkeling as 'n model voor te hou in die lig van die uitdagings en maatskaplike insluiting en integrasie te bevorder deur sy geïdentifiseerde bestuurders van kultuur, nasionale trots en ekonomiese geleenthede. Deputy Speaker, net meer as 4,9 miljoen is toegewys aan die departement se taaldienste. Ons sal voortgaan om taalsteundienste in al 3 amptelike tale van die Wes-Kaap, sowel as tolkdienste waar moontlik, insluitend Suid-Afrikaanse gebaretaal, aan al die departement van die provinsiale regering te verskaf. This year 2019 is the United Nations International Year for Indigenous Languages. Die kultuurgeriewe bied 'n geleentheid en veilige ruimte aan die jeug waar hulle kan uitdrukking gee aan hulle gedagtes, idees en kreatiwiteit in die vorm van kuns of die bestuur van sportaktiwiteite. Daar is die afgelope jaar aansienlike verbeterings aan die kultuurgeriewe aangebring om die veiligheid en gemak van gebruikers te verseker. Daar was 'n hegte werksverhouding in die departement van vervoer en openbare werke wat vrugte afgewerp het. Die aanlyn besprekingsstelsel is vanjaar geïmplementeer. Hierdie stelsel verleen toegang aan die publiek vanaf enige plek in die provinsie en bied gelyke geleenthede vir almal. Organisasies op verskillende vlakke van ontwikkeling is ondersteun deur ons jaarlikse befondsingssiklus, insluitende geregistreerde kultuurorganisasies, die Kaapse Klopse groepe, Kersfeesgroepe en die Malaierkore. Deur middel van verskeie kuns- en kultuuraktiwiteite speel hierdie organisasies 'n belangrike rol in die bydra tot maatskaplike inklusiewe en verbonde gemeenskappe. Daar is vir die 18-19 boekjaar meer as 13,3 miljoen beskikbaar gestel vir die ontwikkeling, bevordering en bewaring van kuns en kultuur. The Western Cape is the leading province in facilitating the sacred rite of passage that is initiation in the country since 2014. To date, the Western Cape is the only province that has developed a framework to govern the initiation rite of passage predominantly practiced by Amashlubi, Hamakosa and Basotho communities. The goal of the department is to create a safe and enabling environment for the initiates. We are mandated to preserve, promote and develop culture within the Western Cape. Traditional surgeons have a pivotal role in the leadership and realization of this practice and are valuable sources for an increasingly rare skill. They have a central stake in the training, and without their cooperation and consent, implementation might be negatively affected. During the period under review, the department worked closer with traditional surgeons in order to elevate their role and significance into the program. Meetings were held to establish concerns as well as finding solutions for those. Training specifically designed for the traditional surgeons was provided. Additionally, the department held meetings with municipalities to facilitate collaboration with communities, practitioners, and local initiation forums. Deputy Speaker, we value the strengthened partnership with the Western Cape Department of Health. Please allow me to convey my condolences to the families and loved ones of the 2 young men who passed on during the summer season. I want to reassure that the department and its partners will continue to institute systems and mechanisms to mitigate risk and ultimately ensure safe and sound initiation rite of passage. During the new financial year, the department will strengthen its interventions and support, including the training and the registration of cultural practitioners, as well as the elevation of raising awareness of government's interventions. With the largest share of our overall budget, Program Free, Library and Archive Services will receive 419.7 million. This appropriation allows us to continue supporting and developing the biggest provincial library service in the country, with the most registered library users, as mentioned, currently more than 8,041,000. We will be expanding our total library service points across the province to 378. The following new libraries will be opening this year: the Noon Library, Kaeleto Library in Knysna, and the Rose Valley Library in Oudtshoorn. We are also funding infrastructure projects for 3 new libraries in Groenewald, Drakenstein, Koekenaap, Matsikama, and Elim, Cape Agulhas, and funding 6 library upgrades in Bergsig in Kannaland, Brandwagte, Mossel Bay, Worcester, Brede Valley, Kwamand in Kosi, Beaufort West, Grabouw, Theewaterskloof, and Harold Kroon, Saldanha. The department provides library service points in most of the very small rural communities of a few hundred people or more. Most of the small rural library centers are provided with free internet through the Rural Library Connectivity Project. We will have 227 rural libraries connected to the internet in the new financial year. In many of these communities, it's the only internet connection available. To ensure blind and visual impaired people across the province have access to internet and reading material free of charge, the department, in collaboration with the South African Library for the Blind, has established 17 mini libraries for the blind facilities in existing public libraries spread across the rural areas. We are planning to roll out 5 more libraries for the blind in 2019-20. The Oral History Initiative kept up its momentum during 2018 and again attracted much attention and praise. The aim of this project is to preserve the oral histories and life experiences of community members by recording and documenting their stories and then making them available to users at public libraries. We will continue to roll out the project in Knysna, Mamre, Swellendam, and Caledon this year. As we celebrate 25 years of democracy this year, the Archive Service will be reflecting on this period through programs and activities during the National Annual Archives Awareness Week. The theme for this year is Archival Footprint, the relevance of archives 25 years into democracy. The role of archives in the preservation of and keeping of history, enabling society to reflect on where it has been, is now, and is going in the future, will be highlighted. The After School Office has focused on creating a culture of extended education in the Western Cape. As a result, we have over 200,000 learners participating in programs and just over 80,000 coming twice a week throughout the year. The benefit of the program for these learners is huge. As one of our principals, who is present here today, Mr. Terence Adams, explains, one of my learners, who was a troubled youngster, was separated from his siblings and sent to Grasventer Primary School. Effectively, his family had written him off as hopeless. He was quite a menace at school. I asked him to try handball as a means to refocusing his energy. Thanks to our after-school program and handball, he is the first in his family to travel out of Atlantis, the first to go on a coach liner, the first to make a provincial team. He has gone from being the outcast to the family star, and at our recent family evening, his whole family came to celebrate him. This is what it's all about. Every learner deserves the same chance to choose a new life path. With all the pressures on the education system, we need everyone to play their part if we want to create similar opportunities for every learner. For this reason, we have established and continue to build a movement to support our youth. With our partners, we have introduced scouting to our schools, built the first school-based skateboard parks, expanded academic support to include the Grade 4 catch-up program. With 210.6 billion allocated to the Sport and Recreation Directorate, the Club Development Program envisaged to create an enabling environment for sport clubs within the Club Development Program through the provisioning of basic equipment and attire, local leagues, capacity building courses for coaches, managers, athletes, administrators and technical officials across the 6 districts, all represented by the respective chairpersons here today. Linked to the club development is support to the Rural Sport Development Program, which caters for clubs from farming and rural communities. The financial support of 5.2 million towards major events in the Western Cape plays an influential role in establishing the Western Cape as the preferred events destination in South Africa and the world. Enabling federations to host a multitude of major events not only adds to the economic input for the province, but also assists in moulding the social fabric of our diverse population. The allocated funding is spread across the entire province, ensuring that each district is benefited from the Cape Town metropole to our rural areas of the Central Karoo. With the total budget for sport facilities at 1.6 million, our facilities component is facilitating infrastructure development with various municipalities in the province. The following municipalities will benefit from the program. As part of the Warsaw program, 250,000 is allocated to Saldanha Bay municipality for the upgrading of identified facilities. Bergrivier will receive 250,000 to upgrade the cricket pitch. Mossel Bay in the Eden district will receive 400,000 to build new netball courts. Swellendam will receive 165,000 to upgrade the Railton Powell sport grounds. The Swartland municipality will receive 320,000 to upgrade these three sport fields. Theewaterskloof will receive 220,000 for the construction of mountain bike trails. For the 2019-20 financial year, all sport federations in the Western Cape will be supported with their administrative, developmental, transformation and capacity building programs. The total transfer payments to sport federations is an earmarked 9.2 million, of which 1 million will be set aside for ad hoc funding supporting the Western Cape athletes travelling abroad. The ad hoc funding is a funding system designed to support sport participants from the Western Cape selected to represent South Africa competitively at an international level. The cost incurred by participants once selected for the South African team places the participants under enormous stress and pressure. The earmarked allocation is in preparation for the 2020 Olympics and Paralympians, where we anticipate many of our Western Cape athletes to travel to Tokyo to represent Team South Africa. I am indeed proud of the increased participation at the National Championship for the Physically Disabled and Visually Impaired held in Stellenbosch last week. The annual multi-code event afforded both our juniors and seniors the opportunity to qualify to represent South Africa at international sporting events, the most prestigious being the 2020 Paralympian Games. The financial assistance supports structures by enabling them to fulfill their mandate by promoting and developing their various sporting codes in the Western Cape. The 7.2 million funding for the federations promotes greater participation in sports social integration and contributes to healthier lifestyles among the people of the Western Cape. Instead of imposing quota systems in sport, we need to do the hard yards at grassroots level, providing as much funding, support and opportunities as possible. In conclusion, this department, the dedicated staff and our constructive programs have the ability to change lives in the Western Cape for the better. Deputy Speaker, our people are quite literally dying for the opportunities needed from government and taxpayers' money to live lives they can value. We have made great strides in establishing meaningful, sustainable partnerships that have set the innovative seed that makes the Western Cape the leading sport and cultural destination of South Africa. As we strive for lifelong maximum citizen impact, I take this opportunity to thank our valued partners here today and look forward to strengthening our collaboration to the benefit of all who calls the Western Cape home. I thank you.
The Honourable Mackenzie.
Deputy Speaker, 5 years ago, I was sworn in as a member of this Parliament. At the time, I knew I was joining a league of extraordinary men and women. I was entrusted by the outgoing Premier Helen Zille and the caucus leadership to chair the Committee on Cultural Affairs and Sport in this province. Achtbare Spreker, dynamiet kom in klein pakkette. En die dynamiet in die regering is kulturele sake en sport. Maar dit is 'n dik bundel vol dynamiet. Speaker, it is said that the Deputy Speaker, it is said that culture makes individuals understand each other better. And if they understand each other better, it is easier to overcome the economic and political barriers that stifle the development of our people. But in order for this to be achieved, we must embrace diversity as a unique feature of human existence that will ultimately lead to maximum citizen impact. Spreker, hierdie departement speel so 'n belangrike rol in die samelewing. Departement van Kulturele Sake en Sport is vir die 2019-2020 finansiële jaar R820 miljoen toegeken. Dis 'n effene toename vanuit die vorige finansiële jaar, minister, wat sal bydra tot die verdere bevordering van die departementele strategiese temas wat hoofsaaklik sosiale insluiting sal verbeter en die invloed van die burger en die gemeenskap sal maksimaliseer. Departementele strategiese temas word ondersteun deur 3 sleutelbenaderings: innovasie, stedelike en landelike diensverskaffing en geslagshoofstroming. Adjunkspreker, die kunsontwikkelingseenheid het sy rol in ontwikkelingsprogram versterk deur samewerking met die munisipaliteite en organisasies. Die program het ontwikkel op maniere waarop burgers se impak gemaksimiseer word in landelike gemeenskappe waar kuns- en kultuurontwikkelings dikwels geverwaarloos word. Die eenheid se projek sal in die Sentraal Karoo distrik uitrol, illustreer die verbintenis tot die departement se visie wat vennootskappe en hulpbronne benut het ten spyte van die finansiële hulpbronne. Of the last year's Deputy Speaker, the Arts Development Unit has implemented the Heritage Dance Workshop and Heritage Day festivities in partnership with Dance for All and the Prince Albert Community Trust within Prince Albert. This laid the foundation for the Heritage Day Festival where youth musicians were able to showcase their talent. Not only did the festival provide a platform for upcoming artists, but it also provided an opportunity for communities to celebrate the national common identity. In addition to this, Deputy Speaker, the department has partnered with Dance for All, Eastern Acoustics, and the Guitar Glass and Photography to provide training to youth and students on various dance styles, technical sound, and videography. And Member Dagmo, I said various dance styles. We've seen that clip of you on YouTube where you were dancing, and I think you'll benefit from this workshop. The opportunities derived from these trainings have seen 3 parties involved in the World Affairs, and 2 trainees receive coaching at the International Jazz Festival. And members, tonight there's a free concert on the Green Market Square, so please attend. Member Dagmar, you're welcome to showcase your skills there as well. Deputy Speaker, it's for free, Member Dagmar, it's for free. Deputy Speaker, the Minister talked about the online booking system, and I must say, in conjunction with Minister Fritz and youth students from Mitchell's Plain, was a beneficiary recently of that online camping booking system, where one can go online and we book the system online, and Minister, it worked very well. Deputy Speaker, it's welcome to see in the workshop that the ministers also funded and continue to fund was the workshop on the efforts of script and production workshop. These workshops will develop young writers, directors, and actors to create new narratives for their communities. But it has to be said that there's a script that can't be written, and that script is South Africa. And I'll be failing to say, in this week, the last week, we've received load shedding, and miraculously, this week, there's no load shedding. While Moody's are in town, and none of these script writers, Minister, not one of the training that you were given to these script writers would have scripted this. And as soon as Moody's get on that plane, and I hope they stay, as soon as they get on that plane, I'm sure load shedding stage scan will kick in. So, Minister, you talked about the oral history. And I must ask, and last year, members, we visited the George Museum. And indeed, member, you must visit George Museum because there they have the oral history, funded by the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport, where it's a very innovative approach to storytelling. Member Chacha, where the museum have taken histories from Tembaletu, from Plakkers, exactly, Pakkelsdorp, sorry, and individuals can, the stories obviously was fact and be able to corroborate it, showcased in the museum. And that is funded by the department, and you want to welcome and thank the department for the innovation, yes, member, for the innovation in ensuring that our stories get told and make additional funding available for the 2019-2020 financial year. Deputy Speaker, oftentimes too many people underestimate the importance of affording the space for self-improvement or receiving services in one's mother tongue. Everyone deserves the environment to communicate it and be communicated with in a mother tongue that they can understand. It is for this reason that the department will continue to promote the 3 official languages and the South African Sign Language. They will accelerate the efforts to facilitate meeting with the Western Cape Language Forum. This body comprises of the 6 language practitioners, and they meet 6 times a year to support the professional development of language practitioners in the Western Cape to ensure that services is made available in all departments in all 3 official languages, as well as marginalized languages such as the Nama, the Khoi, and the San language. In addition, the forum engages with terminology development and its active attempt to revise, update the existing orthography for isiXhosa. Speaker, with just over 4.9 billion appropriate to the department's language services, they will continue to provide language support in all 3 languages to all the departments in the Western Cape. Speaker, the newly elected Western Cape Languages Committee was inducted this year. This public entity will monitor the implementation of the Western Cape language policy in all Western Cape government departments. And Speaker, this entity will also promote previously marginalized languages, as I earlier indicated, in their 3-year term. Speaker, a new commission was also appointed on the 15th of October last year, consisted of 14 members over a 3-year term. The induction session was held by the department to gradually introduce them to their key roles and pivotal responsibility. Through the work of the Cultural Commission, they will further capacitate the 24 registered cultural councils through supporting compliant applications for research, conferences, and projects. Deputy Speaker, the Heritage Western Cape public entity seeks to develop, identify, and conserve the rich history and diverse heritage resources of the Western Cape. There are landscape sites, artifacts, buildings, and structures that are of significance to the people of the Western Cape. And I must say, Deputy Speaker, recently, members of this side of the House visited the Cradle of Humankind. And we could see the rich history and the importance of preserving culture, and the Minister alluded to it. I leave that big announcement to her to talk about the route that I know they're launching soon in April. Deputy Speaker, as the chairperson of the Standing Committee, I'm delighted that together 51% of the department's budget is allocated to library and archive services. This DA-led government provides itself in providing and aid services that will develop our communities. Because, Deputy Speaker, this is very important. Without access to learning materials and internet services, we cannot expect citizens to develop. And I have to make an example to compare us to other provinces. Deputy Speakers, I was actually embarrassed, and I have to say embarrassed, when I did research to compare our libraries in the Western Cape to our sister province, the Eastern Cape. And it's actually, Premier, it is actually shameful. It is shameful. And last year, Speaker, 15 libraries were shut down because they didn't have access to water and electricity. I mean, this is an embarrassment. That the students could not do their homework, they couldn't type up CVs, they couldn't have access to the internet because of something as basic as water and electricity, and there was not even load shedding. You can imagine what those students went through last week when there was load shedding. And what is even more, and apologies for the word, Speaker, what is more disgusting, Deputy Speaker, that 8 out of those libraries had no material on the shelves. Now how, I'm coming to you now, I'm coming. Now how disgusting do you have to be to steal library material from the libraries of the, and I'm going to tell you now, Member Chacham, don't worry, I'm coming. To steal books. 8 of the libraries were in O.R. Tambo, 3 Alfred Nzo, 2 in Sarah Bartman, and 2 in Amatole. I mean, this is a disgrace. You can do further. I can't do your work for you, furthermore. So when we talk about good governance, Deputy Speaker, when we talk about good governance, Deputy Speaker, we're talking about, when we say the government has spent the 820 million of last year, in, wait, Deputy Minister,
Order.
Wait.
You may continue.
Yeah, Deputy Minister, sorry, Deputy Speaker. Member Church, I know exactly where these places are. But if he, and after this Parliament, he'll have enough time to go and visit them, and hopefully use his skills to provide them with training. So when we talk about good governance in the Western Cape, this is what we're talking about. Because the money that we spend in library services, the libraries get built on time, the material gets delivered, and they are on the shelf, and the students are able to go and sit and study. So when we talk about bad governance, we talk ANC government, where 8 libraries are non-functional, 3 in Elfred and Zoa is closed, 2 in Sarah Barpan is closed, 2 in Amatola is closed, and even those that are open, there's no material on the shelves. What a scanner. Deputy Speaker, so when we talk about the Western Cape's hold the highest library membership in the country, and by far the highest library book circulation, we're not just bragging. We're talking facts, because it allows the individuals in those communities to access the library so they can apply for something as simple as a job. See, deputies, everything, because inevitably we must budget for your failure in the Eastern Cape. The Western Cape government must budget for the failure of the ANC in the Eastern Cape. Speaker, it's very good to see that under the leadership of Minister Mare, the new library that's opening in Dunoon, and Honorable Magatra will invite you to the opening. There'll be items on the shelf, there'll be water, there'll be electricity, there'll even be some snacks for you.
Order. Order.
Deputy Speaker, the libraries in the Western Capes are some of the most utilized in the country. The Brackenfell Library has over 630...
Order. Honourable Magaka, please come to order. Honourable Chacham, also you can't comment on every sentence that the member makes. Please continue.
Deputy Speaker, in Somerset West, 488,000 books. I nearly pulled a zoomer there. And Deputy Speaker, currently in Kailicha, as it stands, the highest non-fixed usage of books is in Kailicha. Speakers, these pictures are indicative.
Order. Honourable Magaka. Honourable Magaka, I've already spoken to you. Please, contain yourself. Please continue.
Deputy Speaker, these figures are indicative of this government's investments in community learning. The Western Cape government will continue to invest in community libraries across the province. The proof is in the pudding, where we've increased our funding to libraries in the Eastern District Municipality, and also an additional 10 million was made available for infrastructure of libraries in the metro. Deputy Speaker, our after game changer is without fail the best in the country. The department is now, with the assistance of Treasury after the stoppage of the funding from the Germans, made available 40 million rand to ensure the after-school game changer continue. It is without saying that this department has made significant increase in achieving their goals. And Deputy Speaker, with the recent announcement of the Netball World Cup, it really says something about this Western Cape government. That the national government says, we don't want to go to Gauteng. We don't want to go to the Eastern Cape. We don't want to go to KZN. Let's take the Netball World Cup to the Western Cape because they are the best run in the country. That's what they say, and that's the facts. And your own president has confirmed that. Honourable Speaker and Honourable Magata, thank you. We're not going to see you. Deputy Speaker, please protect you from...
Order.
Deputy Speaker,
Order. Honourable Magaka, you're running the risk of having your term ending very quick, before the end of the 5-year term.
Deputy Speaker, die waarheid mag sien.
Order, just 1 second. Minister?
Deputy Speaker, I think honestly now it's high time that Rule 42 and Rule 44 must apply to this member.
Order, I will consider that myself. Member, you may finish off.
Deputy Speaker, it really has been, despite what Atla say, and we are going to miss him and Member Davis as they go over the other side of the road, it has been a pleasure serving this Parliament. In the last 5 years, and working with this department, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Premier, the Chief Whip, the leadership of the caucus, Provincial Leader, Minister Madikizela, to give me an opportunity to serve this department as Chairperson of Cultural Affairs and Sport. I'd like to thank my colleagues, Honourable Murray Wenger, Honourable Dayla Mitchell, Honourable Lorraine Bota, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Order.
Deputy Speaker, like peaches and herbs, noise and Member Gata goes together, and we're not going to miss him. Deputy Speaker, so to Honourable Theo Olivier in his absentia, and to Honourable Dorothea Gopi, thank you very much. It was a pleasure serving with you, and I'll definitely miss you. And Honourable Makalani also in her absentia, thank you very much. And at times, Member Dagmore, for their contribution of the last 5 years. Speaker, sometimes political party processes don't do justice to the quality of their members, and we are going to miss some of their members. I want to thank And I want to thank the staff in the department. Cultural Affairs and Sport is the most underfunded department. And the value that they've played over the last 5 years and the information and contactability, I really want to thank you. This department, it is the most underfunded, not only in this government, but in the country and probably worldwide. But you really do play an immense value. So Member Dagmar, thank you very much. Could you please allow me to finish? So thank you very much for all of you, from the HOD, the Chief Director, Advocate, Member Mr. Tutu, all of you, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I know we'll see you after the 8th of February, the 8th of May, where we won't see some members of this House on the other side. And I want to thank the research team and the committee team and the parliamentary team that has worked with us during the last 5 years, Mr. Sassman, Mr. Daza, Mr. Zed Kluster, and Mr. Wasim Matthews, our researcher, and to the DA staff on the 5th floor, Ms. Tammy Jackson, Ms. Neo, who's not here with us anymore, is in the city. It was really a pleasure serving this parliament. And to the Minister, thank you for leading this parliament the last few years. I know it's not been easy. And we're looking forward to coming back after the 8th of May and installing Mr. Ellen Windy for Premier. Thank you.
The Honourable Gopi.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, this is my last speech in the House. I will forever be grateful for the opportunity I was granted to represent my people in this legislature. I was responsible for a constituency that has ravaged by gangsterism, drugs, and substance abuse. My only regret will be leaving this legislature without having resolved their problems. As part of the Committee on Cultural Affairs and Sport, it has been humbling to work with the indigenous people and their kings. A lot of the kings who engaged me in the past were crying for not being recognized by the government. Kings in the Western Cape have asked me to ask the MSC for support to grow and develop their language cultures. As my last message to the MEC, I make that call for the support of the indigenous people in the province. Unfortunately, for the MEC's government, as she already alluded when she spoke earlier, to say that it's a government, a DA government, and the party, they do not take them serious. This was made clear when the party objected to the passing of the traditional Khoi and San leadership bill. This is what I will tell them when I see them next time. Deputy Speaker, I want to thank the MEC and members of the committee for the way we worked over the years. It was very fruitful. Now, Deputy Speaker, coming to the budget, my view in that is no reason to pass the budget at this time. It is been fast-track process because the 6 administrational will not enjoy majority in this House. The MEC is there in her forward said that she will remain committed to create enabling environment and needed to increase access, mass participation, talent identification and skills development to realize our vision of social, inclusive, creative, active, connect Western Cape. I don't think the MSC meant what she said there. I say this because there is nothing that her department is doing to support transformation in sport at grassroots level. Cricket, rugby, and soccer clubs are desperately looking for funding. Yet, Speaker, number of affiliated clubs supported by the department dropped from 415 in 2014-2015 to only 230 in 2017-2018. This year, the department is taking about only 180 clubs that have been supported. When you look at the number of clubs that we have in the province, this 180 is very little. The budget for sport and recreation has increased by over 12.95%. This increase is welcomed, but the money needs to be sent to the grassroots where it is needed most. Talent identification is very important. Hence, I feel like the 6 district academies supported by the department should be increased. Sub-program 4.5, national government increased the mass participation and sports development grant over 56 million. This contribution is also welcomed. Despite the increase from the national government, the challenges in the MOD program not improving. My concern is the MOD program is that the number of employed staff in the program has been decreased over the years. For instance, according to the department annual report in 2014-15, 558 people were employed. In 2017-2018, this number decreased to just 470. My other concern is that the number of MOD centers remained at 181 since 2014. This is despite the increased demand in the rural communities. Instead of building MOD centers in central venues, the government ought to spend money transporting learners from far distance. Surely this is costly exercise and it impacts on the distance in these centers. Moving to program 3, I fail to understand some of the decision. For instance, for sub-program 3.3 achieves there is an increase of over 123%. This is because during the budget adjustment, the department decreased the budget for the sub-program from 40 million to just over 18 million. The only explanation is that when they could not use the money, they decided to shift it elsewhere. It is confusing, therefore, that the department allocates over the amount they failed to spend last year. Maybe it will be shifted again later this year. Program 3 receive over 50% of this department budget. This year, it gets 419.6 million. Of this, over 368 million is transferred to municipalities for the library services. Library services is the responsibility of the provincial government. I don't agree with the move to delegate powers to municipalities. If the province does not have capacity to handle libraries services, it must ask for assistance. Of the budget, there is 83.6 million that is allocated for municipal replenishment funding and broadband library connection. In the previous year, the department has failed to fully spend its budget for the project, especially on the broadband rural library connectivity project. In the previous year, the department also failed to achieve some of its planned targets, including the one of upgrading existing facilities for public library purposes. We can hope that this budget, it will be able to build libraries even in the rural communities. On program 2, I am disappointed with a 2% decrease in the allocation for sub-program 2.1. Also on program 2, you will note that transfers to departmental agencies were decreased by over 23%. These entities were already underfunded, so this decrease should be rejected. The Western Cape Cultural Commission was worse affected with an over 65% decrease. This is wrong, and it will impact negatively on the capacity of the entire entity to deliver on its mandate. Also, I want to then oppose the plan by the department to delegate powers to the Heritage Western Cape to local authority to take the function for the management for local heritage resources. I did mention this during our engagement. This is wrong, as it placed the independence of the entity at risk, as municipalities are controlled by political parties. Secondly, there is an ongoing battle, especially in the city of Cape Town, where private property developers are given preference treatment over communities and heritage rights. Now, with this delegation of powers to local authorities, it should show you the DA plan to continue prioritizing the interests of developers over the people. Local authorities will approve all appliance from developers without asking any questions. I want to take this opportunity to thank the department staff and also the coordinator of the committee members for their support during the period I was with them. And I also want to thank my party for giving me the opportunity to serve this parliament. I thank you, Deputy President.
In the absence of the ACDP and the EFF, I see the Minister Marev to respond.
Wiley normally stands up at this point in time and raises his concern, but
I notice his absence as well. Minister, you may respond.
Baie dankie Deputy, baie dankie aan die agbare lede wat deelgeneem het. Eerstens wil ek net vir agbare Gapie sê die harde kopie wat hy nou ontvang het, die meeste van die antwoorde, as u dit deurlees, dan sal u sien, want met tyd, omdat daar tyd was wat ek nie kon, my tyd was te min, kon ek nie elke woord sê nie, wat ek nou so sê. En dan, the clubs dropped because the National Department decided to alter the amount we can spend on clubs via the conditional grant. En dis hoekom dit minder geld is. En hierdie geld is toe aangewend vir 'n loodstudie in Limpopo wat hulle en in die KZN. Ja. So. En dan
order please.
And then through the Traditional and Khoisan Leadership Act, a commission will be appointed by the President to determine which traditional leaders will be recognized. Dan wil ek net sê baie dankie aan die voorsitter.
Members, you're drowning out the speaker on the floor, both sides of the house. Thank you.
Baie dankie aan agbare Ricardo McKenzie vir jou leierskap en professionele manier waarop jy altyd die staande komitee hanteer het. En die staande komitee, baie dankie vir julle oorsig. Dit was nooit, ons het mekaar verstaan, julle het vir ons in diepte oorsig gegee en ek wil vir julle sê baie dankie daarvoor vir die wyse waarop dit altyd gedoen is. En dan baie dankie aan al die personeel van die staande komitee vir wat julle elke keer, ek weet dit is baie werk wat agter die skerms gebeur, om net 'n staande komitee bymekaar te kry of die jaarprogram of die begrotingstoesprake of die begrotings wat hulle ons oorsig oor doen bymekaar te sit. Baie dankie daarvoor. Dan wil ek sê baie dankie aan die ministerie. Herman, Hannes, Sonja, Charlotte, Shelley, Diane, advokaat Michael Petersen wat met die moeilike taak te doen het vir Erfenis Wes-Kaap en Pam. Dan wil ek sê aan die kollegas, al ons my kollegas, die DA sowel as die ANC en in afwesigheid die EFF en die ACDP. Ek is eintlik spyt hulle is nie hier nie want dit is een van die heel belangrikste portefeuilles wat nasiebou betref en hulle is nie hier nie. Then to all the stakeholders and guests in the gallery, with whom we cannot change the lives of our communities, Baie, baie dankie vir elkeen van julle. En dankie dat julle vandag hier is, want dit wys dat julle dit regtig waar ons gemeenskappe en sport en kultuur op die hart dra. Dan departement en die HOD, baie dankie vir elkeen van julle. Die HOD hou my op die reguit pad. As ek baie keer sê HOD, ek dink ons moet doen, dan sê no, we must just think about it. It's your decision, but just think about it. Dan wil ek sê aan die uitteam, dis Japie, Kurt, Pumi, dis die mense wat elke dag vir my rondry en net saam met my is. En dan Stacey, my spokesperson, there in the corner, for your creativity, innovation and professionalism. And then lastly, to Premier Helen Zille, whom afforded me this opportunity. Thank you so much. And then I just want to remind you, the CBD and the Western Cape is buzzing when there's a culture event or when there's sport. So please participate tonight in the buzzing of the city at the Green Market Square. It's all free. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Minister. That concludes the debate on this vote. The House will be suspended for the administration to leave and for the next group to take up their seats. Thank you.